Here in the United States, Long John Silver is probably most widely known for his chain of fish and chicken fast food joints, but he was not always a fry cook. Long ago, his friends knew him as Barbecue. Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island tells of an adventure of young Jim Hawkins and several other characters, including the pirate Long John Silver. Jim first meets Silver while trying to gather men for their voyage for Treasure Island. Silver has only one leg, and he plays on Jim's compassion and manages to find himself a place as a fry cook or as a cook among the ship's crew. While Jim, the captain, and the squire attempt to keep the nature of their voyage, which is a search for treasure, a secret, Silver seems to have it figured out. As the story progresses, Jim overhears Silver discussing known pirates and planning a mutiny while he's hiding in an apple barrel. Jim is immediately conflicted about Silver because he's always trusted him up to this point, and Silver seemed to be genuine and seemed to genuinely care for Jim. Silver continues with what's next known as a series of flip-flops. He sides with the Buccaneers or with Jim's crew, whichever suits him the best at the moment. When it appears that he's going to be able to lead a group of men to the treasure, he breaks ties with the captain and the squire, although he always does maintain one relationship: the doctor. This is also beneficial to him because the sickness and the injuries that are occurring on this voyage are at an alarming rate. Silver and his Buccaneers eventually end up capturing Jim, and they intend to use him as leverage, or at least muscle, to move the heavy treasure. Silver then realizes that his own Buccaneers are turning against him, at which time he uses Jim as his ace in the hole. Silver then begins to fear the gallows, and he again sides with Jim, the captain, the squire, and the doctor. Once the treasure is found, Silver manages to wind up on board the Hispaniola again, returning home. He is kind and gracious once again to all the remaining crew, until he slips away with 300 or 400 guineas to help him on his further wanderings. We never know what happens of Long John Silver, but the crew seems to be glad to be rid of him, and they figure that the 300 or 400 guineas is a small price to pay. Jim speculates that Silver probably met with a woman and spent the rest of his days with her. So, is Silver a hero or a villain? I would classify him as a villain, even though he does act with courage on a few occasions. But even in those occasions, it was always only for his own benefit. We never really know what happens to him, except that the speculation that Jim had, that he was living out his life with a woman. But I think that it does kind of suit him to live his life in isolation because of the way that he always treated people. He doesn't really deserve the money. He does deserve to live in exile. Everything that he ever did that was good was always calculated. It was always for his own benefit. Even his name, Silver, makes you think about money or worth, and that seemed to be all that Silver was worth. Did Silver really like Jim? I don't think Silver really liked himself, and I think that until a person can come to that conclusion and understand who they are and be somebody that they can respect, and they don't have that kind of respect or compassion for anybody else. Every bit of compassion or concern that Silver seemed to show for anybody was always for his own good and for nothing further. His sole purpose was always self-preservation, and I think this is one of the lessons that we can learn from Stevenson's Treasure Island. You've got to learn to like yourself before you can engage in meaningful relationships with others. Silver's a great reminder that there is a whole lot more life to life than money. The things that make us the richest are the friends that we make and the family that we have and the relationships that we build. So having that in mind, maybe we should have a cookout, a fish fry, or maybe a barbecue.